Hey, how's it going, everyone? Saints fan back again with another GTA Online Nightclub DLC video, and today we are in the town of Los Santos, and I want to go around this part of the map and show you guys some possible locations that these underground nightclubs could be at. And the reason I say that is because in the newswire, if you guys remember, Rockstar put this paragraph. When they first announced the nightclubs, they said, world-class talent have announced their upcoming residencies in Los Santos, and fans will soon be packing out clubs and warehouses across the town. Now, maybe I'm looking into this a little bit too deeply, but when it says packing out clubs and and warehouses across the town, that tells me two or maybe three things. One, these nightclubs are only going to be in Los Santos. They're only going to be in the city. I don't think this means we're going to get any up here in Paleto Bay or even Sandy Shores. And one thing that does support that is the last couple of DLCs have added stuff up here, right? The gun running added stuff up here, mostly in the northern part of the map. The facilities with the Doomsday heist, obviously most of those are up in the north. Even the Smuggler's Run DLC, I know there's a hangar obviously down here in LSIA, but the majority of people have theirs up in Fort Zancudo. So a lot of the DLCs last year had to do with the north of the map. So maybe this year they're going back to the city. Plus, nightclubs just feel like they would be in the city rather than up in the north of the map. So that's one thing that this little paragraph tells me. But it also tells us the building types that we'll be going to, I guess. And I'm going to just fly around here and showcase some places. Now, I have already made a video going over all of the actual nightclub locations, like Bahama Mamas. That's, I can't even move here, but that's over there, kind of in the way I'm looking. Bahama Mamas is that way. The other popular one is the Tequila La, which is about that way where I'm looking. And we're not going to be taking a look too much at those. We're mainly going to be taking a look at the second part of what Rockstar said, the warehouses. And the reason we're going to be taking a look at those is I think that's what we're going to be able to own. They say packing out clubs and warehouses. I think what's going to end up happening, the clubs, like Bahama Mamas, like Tequila La, like any of the other ones that are in the city. I think there's one called The Vault down, where is it? Down here somewhere. This is The Vault. But the places like this, I think these are going to be opened up like the strip club. I don't think these are going to be anything we could own. I think what's going to happen is they're going to open up a few of these, maybe this one right here. You go in and it's a nightclub interior, and you'll see, NPCs dancing. You'll see the DJs doing their thing, and you can just go in there and hang out like you can in the strip club. But the warehouses, I think that's the nightclubs we're going to be able to own. And if I fly around here, I'll show some locations that these warehouses could be. And one thing, even though the wording is warehouses, I think that at least it makes sense if they just end up using some of the buildings that aren't being used. Because think about it. In the city of Los Santos down here, there's not too many warehouse buildings that could be used for nightclubs. I mean, maybe there's a few we'll see over there in the industrial area, but like over here in the city part, there's really no warehouse looking buildings. But there are a few bigger buildings that aren't being used, and that they actually have a for lease sign. And I'll go find one. There's one somewhere over here that could be a perfect, I think it's this one right here to my right. It's this red like apartment building. You can see it says Lenny Avery Realty. Now, yeah, this is an apartment building, but they also mentioned underground nightclubs in this paragraph, which is in the same Newswire post as the other one. They said that thanks to the efforts of this guy, the underground dance club scene is about to blow open in July. So that is another thing that indicates this stuff is going to be, I don't know, like sort of secretive, I guess. And with buildings like this one, for instance, underground, that could work perfectly, right? I don't know if this would be the actual door or if there's another better door somewhere around here. But you go into that and then, like, underground, underneath this. So it makes sense. Like, down below, there could be the nightclub. And the reason that I'm showing you guys this location is because in this area, like where I'm at, the Hollywood Boulevard, there's really not many buildings that are for lease. There's really not many buildings that don't already have something attached to them. And I just think that's a good location, one, for a nightclub, because I think Rockstar do want to spread them out a decent amount, you know? So having one up here underneath these like apartment buildings, I think that could work. Now, heading into the city, this is where we will see a lot more buildings like that aren't being used. I mean, honestly, most of the buildings in the city, they don't have like most of these buildings over here, they don't have signs on them that indicate they're being used for something. Like most of them obviously are for apartments, or they look like apartments and stuff. But again, the underground part doesn't matter. Like it means that doesn't matter, because you could just go in. Let's say if they really want to make it realistic, you take an elevator down into the club. But buildings, I think there's a few, like this one right here is for rent. It's kind of a rundown thing. And they too also mentioned that the nightlife scene is going to get a major upgrade. So maybe that also indicates they're going to give a major upgrade to some of the buildings. Like maybe they'll make this building look a lot nicer, and there'll be a club underneath it. And there's more. Like, let's see if we can find some of the other ones I was looking at right here. This one is also for rent, and this is, I would say that's like a warehouse looking building. And it's in a good location. It's in the city. It's near stuff. And it's about the right size for, you know, a club. I don't think you need to have a giant building. And it looks like it could fit. And it's actually right next to a parking lot, which is good. Here we have another sort of apartment building. Now this one has a thing on it, but it also says for rent down here. So again, could be a front. And look, that's another thing. They did talk a lot about how these nightclub businesses will be a good front for all of your illegal stuff. And having an apartment building with a nightclub underneath, you know, that fits with the idea of being sort of inconspicuous. But I do, the one over here, this is, I think, is my favorite location. I really hope that's a club location. But going into the industrial part, you're going to see a few more of these sort of warehouses. I mean, this one right here actually says warehouse. And I don't believe, well, there's, okay, maybe this one has a name on it, but there's one over here that is completely open. Well, like this one is for rent. So again, that's a warehouse that could be used for a nightclub. This one right here, now it does say Darnell Bros on it, but again, if they're giving an upgrade to certain things, maybe they change that, right? They did that to Benny's. Benny's was a rundown looking location. They changed the exterior, so that could happen again. And this one, I mean, I'd imagine this is what this one on the right looks like on the interior if they were to add an interior. But I would say this is about a decent size for an underground nightclub, you know? It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't need to be super big. Now again, obviously in the industrial part of the town, there's a lot more of these warehouse locations. And I remember back when, I want to say, it might have been Gun Running came out, we were looking at a few of these locations, thinking that maybe they would end up being part of that DLC. But this is another location. It's a pretty big warehouse, or decent sized warehouse, that's along the street, and it's, you know, in a decent location here. Maybe this could be one of the cheaper ones. But yeah, out here, I'm not going to go like building by building, but there are some other warehouse locations that that could fit. One thing though, and the reason I'm only showing like the city, that one little warehouse or the one little for lease building up by the Hollywood Strip and then over here, is because I don't think anywhere else could fit a nightclub. Like in here, like this part of the town, you can't have an I mean, look, maybe Rockstar proved me wrong, but I just don't think it makes sense to have an underground nightclub in this part of the town. One, there's not any buildings that really would fit that. And if Rockstar were to add something like the gun running or like the facility where it's just like a prop on top of the map, there's no room for that over here. So that's one reason why I'm not really going too in depth on this part of the town. And the same thing could be said for like the beach part over there. Although maybe near Benny's here, like this part might be the only part that could be somewhat decent for a nightclub. If any of these buildings, I think most of them have like wording on them, but if any of them are for lease, that could be a possible location, like right here for rent. That's right next to Benny's too. Or maybe that is Benny's. Never mind, that is Benny's. Forgot we're in single player, so we don't have that. But yeah, going back to what I was saying over here on the beach, there's another area. There's just a lot of houses and stuff, so it doesn't make sense. I don't think it makes sense that they could add a nightclub, like a secret nightclub, under here. Now, obviously, we have Bahama Mamas right around up here, but that's not secretive, right? That's an actual club. And I guess they could like throw one underneath any of these buildings. I mean, obviously that one right there is the Maze Bank office, but maybe like underneath one of these hotels, they could totally do that. I mean, there's a freaking thing that goes down here, right? So maybe they make this look nice and use this as a parking garage for the underground club. I don't know. And then I guess the same thing also applies to the Vinewood, like up in this area. There's another area that it just doesn't make sense. There's not really any places that if they were to add something, it would look odd, is basically what I'm saying. But anyway, you guys in the comment section can let me know what places or locations you think would be good for this nightclub, or these underground nightclub warehouses, or whatever you want to call them. I mean, one final thing I will say, you can see just the interior size of Bahama Mamas. It's not that big. You just need like a little area for the drinks and maybe some tables, right? And then the dance floor. That's all you need. And pretty much all the buildings I showed you guys, they're big enough for this. And if they're not big enough, then Rockstar could do like they did with the gun running and the facilities, just throw them underground like they do mention, and boom, logic doesn't apply because it's underground, so you can't say anything. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Please drop a video like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more awesome GTA content. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.